Hello and welcome to Adobe Sketch. So in this little training, I'm going to teach you how to use Adobe Sketch. It's very simple, so I think we should get started. So first you're going to click that blue check mark in the corner, and as you see, this is going to pop up, and there's a bunch of different design papers you can pick, but I'm going to keep it simple with a square. So now we have been into phase 2, now we're going to go to get to very more technical stuff. So let's get started. Shall we? Welcome to Adobe Sketch. Now, Adobe Sketch can be used for art, can be used for note-taking, can be used for a lot of things. It is a good utility to learn. So the first lesson we're going to learn is the eraser. So as you can see, the eraser kind of looks like a little checkerboard. Doesn't look like a normal eraser. And so you see where the arrow is pointing right next to there. It's a checkerboard, and you can change the size. It can be big, it can be small, and you change the size by the circle being bigger. If the circle's bigger, obviously it's going to erase more. And if the circle's smaller, it's going to erase less. Pretty simple. So the next thing I'd like to talk to you guys about is a sketch pencil. It is one of the most important brushes that you will be using, especially if you're going to be using this app for note-taking and sketching out ideas. So the cool things about the pencil is it's good for doodling, definitely. It is easy to write with, very easy to write with, and it is lighter than all the other pencils or all the other brushes. It's not as thick. It's very nice. It writes just like a normal pencil. Like if you were to write a pencil on a piece of paper, it's just digital. Again, it is super great for note-taking because it's good to highlight with. I personally love using it for note-taking. So that's what I use Sketch Pencil for, but you can use it for whatever you like, but recommended for note-taking, definitely. It's important to use the pencil because it is one of the better brushes. So, next, we are going to go over shapes and the different shapes and how we can use them. So first we're going to go over the ruler. So it looks like two parallel lines, kind of like an equal sign tilted upwards is what it looks like. So we're going to click on that, and it functions just like a ruler. So you can change the degrees. It can be 90 degrees, could be 0 degrees. So I'm just going to draw a square just to kind of demonstrate this. Very simple. And you can rotate it. It can be horizontal. It can be vertical. Whatever you'd like to use it for. Very simple. So as you see, I'm rotating it to fit my square. I rotated it 90 degrees. And now I'm going to 0 degrees on the horizontal. And so I'm going to finish that up. And the next thing we are going to talk about is something I like to call the back button. Now, let's say I'm taking the area of a square, right? So I'm going to write 5 centimeters as the height and 3 centimeters as the length, but I meant to write 3, and I want to change that. So I'm going to press the arrow that is pointing toward the left, and it will go stroke by stroke and erasing. It is a good alternative to the eraser button, and so now I can just write 3. It is easier to use, especially if you don't want to erase something that you might, because it just goes stroke by stroke, and it goes in chronological order of how you wrote it. So now we're going to learn how to trace shapes. So you're going to go press that button again and select one of your shapes. So how to draw it is you're just going to trace around the dotted line around the shape. So I'm just using a circle for example. It creates a perfect circle, and it is good to use, especially if you're taking notes in a math class and you're using this kind of app, especially if you're doing geometry and you're finding the area or the surface area. It is great to use because they're perfect and accurate shapes. And you can also change the size. It can be small, it can be big, very, very easy to use. So the next thing we are going to learn is the color wheel. So the color, and we're going to learn how to change colors and how to save colors to our library. So as you see, this is called a color wheel. A color wheel is basically different colors put onto a wheel with different brightness. So you can adjust the brightness, as you can see in that bar. There's many different colors. So I might want it brighter, I might want it darker. You can use it for pretty much anything. So I'm going to try and find hot pink because that is one of my favorite colors. So I'm going to choose this color because it looks the best. And I really like this color. I would like to use this again, but I don't think I'll be able to get the exact same color. But I can if I press that plus button in the corner and I saved it to my library. Saving it to my library, now I can go back and use that exact same color anytime I want. So now as you see, I have multiple colors like blues and whites and greens and browns and all those pretty colors that I like to use. It is very important to save these colors to your library, especially if you want to go back and you like the color. You can use it multiple times. So the next thing we're going to learn is something I like to call, or is called flow. So the flow is in the middle of each brush stroke, and it's basically the thickness of the stroke or of the brush. So if your flow is higher in numbers, it will be thicker. If it's lower in numbers, it'll be lighter. As you see, this is 1. It is very light, hard to kind of see, but this is 100, and it's very thick and bold, as you can see. So that is kind of just the contrasting of flow. A good thing flow is good for is for blending and also for highlighting. So if you want a lighter flow, you can highlight words or color. You can highlight words or notes inside your paper. You can change the flow, so I'm going to change it to 34, but it's kind of thick, so I might think about it. I'm probably going to use my back button, which is very important, which comes in handy a lot. I just use my back button, and I'm going to make it a lot lighter, as you can see. Recommended if you're going to highlight something, I would take your notes with the sketch pencil because it looks better when you highlight and doesn't kind of change the color. So the next thing we are going to go over is switching or changing brushes. This is very simple. It only takes a couple clicks of the hand or the button. So as you see, I'm going to change the watercolor brush because it's not my favorite brush. So I'm going to double click that. As you see, there are different brushes that I can choose from. So I'm going to scroll down, and I like the smudge brush. So I'm going to click on the smudge brush. So I'm going to just do some art with it, see what I think about it, and just kind of do a little trial run on it. I might change the color around. I might change the size. I might play with it a little bit. But it's not really the look I'm going for. So I'm going to try again. I'm going to try the spray. The spray looks interesting. So I'm trying the spray out, but it's not necessarily going through the way I wanted the certain look. So I'm going to change my brush back to the watercolor brush. And it's also important to know the names of your brushes because if you change a brush out and you want to bring that brush back, you must know the name of it, or else you're just going to be doing a lot of different brushes until you find the one you use. And it's very hard because there are a lot of variety of brushes. So the next thing I'm going to teach you guys is adding image layers and sketch layers. It's a very simple concept, but it can seem complex, but I'm going to walk you guys through it. So the way you are going to do this is you see that plus button right above kind of the little checkerboard where the arrow is pointing. That little plus sign, you are going to click that, and it's going to ask you for sketch layer, image layer. We're just going to do sketch layer for now. So now it has added another layer on top of our sheet, our original sheet. So I'm just going to color on it. I'm going to use one of my colors, and I'm just going to doodle on the top of it just to make it look cute and pretty. But now I can't really see anything, so I'm going to erase it. But wait, why didn't it erase the other layer? Because the second layer is protected because you added another layer. So that other layer is like a sheet of glass. It's like you're putting a sheet of glass on top of the original layer. So now we're going to add an image layer by going into Adobe Stock, and I'm just going to search up an image of a flower. Pretty straightforward. So I'm just going to look for a flower, and I like this little pink flower right here. So I'm going to click on that. So I'm going to use this flower, and I'm going to select that and import it into my project, as you can see by me pressing those buttons. And I'm going to size it to my canvas. I can make it as small as I want or as big as I want. For the purposes, I'm going to make it super big. The cool thing about adding an image is if you want to take notes on it, it automatically adds another layer, so you cannot wreck the image or erase the image. So you can take notes on the image, like, here is the petals, or here is, the color. And you can take notes on the image and make it look really nice. Very good for if you might want to do like if you're doing a project and you could add a picture of something, you could add like a note, like an arrow, and it's very good to use for that. So you can I'm going to teach you guys how to delete layers now. So to turn off layers, you're going to double click the layer. And it kind of looks like an eye with a slash through it. So that means you are hiding the layer. You haven't fully deleted the layer, but you are now hiding the layer. So I'm just going to do that for all of my things. But you can't do that because one layer at least needs to be visible or you're not going to have anything. So I'm going to turn the layers back on again by double clicking it. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. As you see, I'm turning the layers back on. But I'm going to delete the ones I don't need anymore by tapping them, and you will see at the bottom a trash can that says delete next to it. So that's what you will click to delete layers. So now you just have your original layer left. And that is pretty much it for the technical part of it. But we still have another big part of it, and it is the part 2 of using Adobe Spark. It's called saving projects. So how do you save projects, you might ask? Well, it is very simple. So you're going to press that button in the corner that just says close. Close or save, whatever yours says. It might be different for someone. So now you're showing this. But let's say you wanted to add another note or something else into a certain area. So you're making that your own project. So I'm going to press the plus sign in this corner. And I'm going to add just anything. I'm just going to add the widescreen. I'm just going to maybe draw something on it, erase a couple things, and add that into a certain category. Now this is, again, good for note-taking or a project, for a school project, because you can add this into their little cohorts and keep yourself very organized. So that's how you just add it to your project. So now you can keep those under lessons. So I'm going to close this, and so then I'm going to close out of this. And now I have my own project with multiple arts. Now I'm going to teach you guys how to delete projects. So in the corner, you're going to see, and you're going to press select projects. And once you press that, you're going to press the delete button. You're going to select the project, and then you're going to press the trash can, which means delete. And you're just deleting that one project. So if you want to delete within projects without deleting the whole thing, you're going to press select documents. The documents are the separate papers inside the project. So once you press select documents, you're going to select the document you want to delete. So I wanted to delete the blank screen, obviously. So then I'm going to delete that. And so now I just have this. And it's all alone. But maybe I might want to duplicate that project. So I'm going to press the duplicate project button. And so now I have 2 of the same project, just to have an extra copy if I delete something, which I definitely recommend because accidents happen and you might end up deleting something you don't want to, and there is no going back. And now you can name this project. So I'm just going to call it the part 2 project, or just something really simple. You can name your project after the lesson, or you can name it anything you want, whatever you're feeling in the moment, as long as it's appropriate. And so that is pretty much it about Adobe. So Adobe Sketch. So thank you for listening. I hope you have a great day and goodbye.